Greg, you're muted. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Gregory Robb. I am the COO here at Sierra Division. Thank you for joining us for our event, the Hall o' History, where we're going to go through some very talented artists' old artworks, that being as they were up and coming, as they were working their way towards their dream careers, what it was like as far as their development, what they created along the way, and kind of how they developed and grew from different projects, different things that they did. So we have an awesome panel today. And so John Joe Hemmons here with us today, John Ariano, a special guest, Javier Perez, and obviously, of course, my colleague, good friend, and CEO here at Sierra Division, Mr. Jacob Norris. How we doing, fellas? Everybody doing all right? Ready?
Doing great.
Hello.
Great. Good.
So, let me quickly just comment on my outfit so people understand I'm not just wearing this indoors.
It's just how Jacob dresses. Yes. Don't tell us.
Yeah, exactly. This is just what I wear indoors all the time, right?
Yeah.
No, this is like a little Halloween event, and so both Greg and I dressed up a little bit, and to go local to where I am right now in Finland, I'm wearing a Sami sort of outfit, which is like the Native Americans of northern Finland. I won't get into it because I don't know enough history to really break it down for you, but my wife approved of it and she's finished, so I'm a Sami.
Box is checked.
Yeah.
And so you're good. So we thought that this would be a super fun event to be able to go through. We talk a lot, especially in our streams and different conversations that we have and different material that we share with folks about the development portion of becoming an artist and kind of what that process is like. And so we thought it'd be pretty cool. Stephanie had the great idea of being able to talk to some phenomenal artists and kind of go through that journey. That being, where did they start out? How did they develop? And where it is that they are now. Do we want to go through, do some brief introductions as far as where everybody's at now, as far as in their careers, and we can kind of jump in? Do we want to do it individually, like talk about where we're at now and then go through some of your work? That probably sound like a good process, guys? Or would you prefer to introduce yourselves first?
Yeah, introductions.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Do some brief introductions here. So Javier, you're first up as far as on the video. You want to
let's do it. My name is Javier Perez. I'm currently the lead material artist at PlayStation Studios Visual Arts. I've been in the industry for about 13 years now. Last couple titles I've worked on was Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2. And I also teach at Noman School of Visual Arts and Laguna College of Art and Design. That's me.
Very cool. John, you want to take it away?
Yeah. My name is John Ariano. I'm a senior environment artist at Santa Monica Studios. And I've been in the industry this is my 10th year now. My anniversary is coming up in December, so that'll be sweet. I teach obviously over at, I teach with Sierra Division. I do mentorships. I also teach over at Noman School of Visual Effects. And that's kind of me.
Outstanding. John Joe.
Hi, I'm John Joe Hemmons. I'm a senior environment artist at That's No Moon. Been in the industry about 6 years, 6.5, somewhere around there. And also do mentorships with Sierra Division. That's me.
Yeah, I guess most of you know me already, but for those who don't, Jacob Norris and CEO. You always got to emphasize because me and Greg here with COO. At Sierra Division, creative director, and started out as an environment artist in 2010 at Insomniac, and here I am now.
Excellent. Thank you. And so, folks watching at home, so what we're going to do is we'll go through each individual artist's basically old school profile, go through some very old works from back when they were first developing. And so if y'all have questions along the way, comments, concerns, you're welcome to present those as they come up. But for the meantime, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and have some folks start sharing their work and go through kind of what it was like for them as they were coming up through school and coming up and getting ready to head into their career. And so as far as starting us off, Jacob, you were the last person to introduce yourself. Do you want to get us started as far as going through your history and what everything was like for you coming up?
Let's keep going in order. We can have Javier.
Javier, then, my friend, that puts you on the spot. If you're okay with that.
I think you're muted as well, Javier.
You're muted, brother.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Let me just get everyone here on the board. Hopefully you guys are following my cursor. You guys can kind of
Yes.
take a look. So
Working perfect.
yeah, I would say thanks for Jacob. Thanks for Gregory inviting me. Always love being part of these. So shouts out. Funny enough, a little like trivia, me and Jacob went to the same school, and even John here actually. So we all came from AI. So a lot of what you see here are me going into my graveyard of hard drive from school and just picking out some of the pieces that I thought stood out to me. Each one represents a certain class that was given at AI. So I'll kind of can talk a little bit about each one. Kind of funny the way whoever put the board together, I think you, Greg, the way you kind of
Just waving. Hello.
it's funny the way you like kind of set them up, just because like the smallest one is actually the first image or the first model I made, all the way to like the bigger ones are kind of like as school progressed. So they should be getting better from right to left, but it looks like they're getting worse. So we'll start with
clearing up some
sorry, go
confusion
ahead.
also. I know AI nowadays might sound like something different, but we're
true.
actually from the Art Institute of San Diego, which
Yeah.
no longer exists. And so we were the original AI before
Yeah.
AI was cool.
Yeah, the Art Institutes of California. So I think the tank was actually the first 3D modeling class I've ever taken. I basically learned 3ds Max first. I use Maya now, but Max was my very first program I ever learned. So the assignment was pretty much create a tank and just model it on Max. I think this was kind of one of the better ones, if I do remember correctly, just because I was doing like a pedestal, I was doing some lighting and some extra rendering. And I think at the time, no one knew what like texturing or UVs were. And I was just basically planar mapping all these like random Google images I found throughout the like online. So there's that. Then we started getting into more like environment stuff. So as you can see, this is like straight out of like GTA or something like that. But this was, I believe, my first Maya class where we had to transition into learning Maya. So it was a lot of just, box modeling, using a lot of images for texturing. I think this was the first assignment where I did learn how to UV. So you can kind of see me actually just throwing on a bunch of stuff in here. Bunch of like just random logos and stuff like that. And then characters started popping up here. We had one character class, even though like I wasn't a big character guy. I want to stick to environments and props. This was another Maya class, so we were jumping between like Max and Maya. So I think I honestly gravitated towards Maya the most. I think I was one of the only people using it at graduation because everyone just loved Max. Funny enough, my entire career has been on Maya, so I'm glad it stayed that way. The dude's in a T pose, so it was just easier. But this is all like, I believe it's all like soft modeling when you go into like, you hit the 3 key and you're just kind of like smooth modeling where you're just grabbing verts and it's all stays smooth. I don't know why I did this character, to be honest. I think I was like trying to do something like Pixar-y or whatever, like maybe a crazy doctor. I don't know. And then we kind of arrive at like these last 4. So this is where we basically started really diving into more of the fundamentals. Like I think the initial classes were more, getting your feet wet, getting familiar with the programs. But I would say with the anti-tank gun, that is where we learned a lot of the processes that are very used even today, I would say. So it was a lot of like baking normal maps, baking ambient occlusions. Back then, we weren't using Substance Painter, so a lot of what we used was basically Photoshop. So a lot of what you see here was all textured in Photoshop using the layers and everything. So one of my teachers, Emmer, was working in the industry at the time, so it was super valuable to have him as a teacher because, he'd teach in the morning and then at night he would go work his like in industry job. So that was super awesome. And then these kinds of classes, the lunchbox entry and anti-zombie weapon, all came from one specific class. Again, it was one of Emmer's classes, but it was, I think it was game prop modeling or something like that. But that one was a really interesting class because it pretty much taught us that we have to get faster at this stuff. So a lot of what you see here was done in like maybe like 2 or 3 hours. He was giving us a prompt and pretty much like, hey, just go at it. Doesn't have to be pretty. We just want to see a finished model. So that's kind of where I landed with these last two here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
There was a quick question actually.
Yeah.
From somebody, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Barack had a quick question about should Max users switch to Maya for the industry, or maybe to Blender?
That's a
Max
great
user, I guess, is what they're saying.
that's a great question. I think it's really dependent on the job you want or even the studio. So there's a couple things with that question. Number one, I think more studios are more open now. Like I know a lot of studios are using Blender or just honestly using whatever. I've seen some studios even use CAD. I think what really dictates what specific program is where they built their tools around. Like some legacy studios maybe have built all their tools inside of Max or all their tools inside of Maya. Sure, they're letting their artists use whatever to create their art, but eventually, because of all their export tools and all their legacy tools have been in a certain program, you might have to just learn the UI to get your stuff in engine. That's the way I kind of look at it. I did mention that my entire career was Maya. In 13 years, I've only worked at one Mac studio. And what's funny about that Mac studio was that they actually liked that I knew Maya because I was only Maya person in the whole studio, which was kind of funny. So yeah.
You got him to switch to Maya after that?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, man.
Maya folks need to hit you up for commission on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So did you all met like at Art Institute as well, or did you find out about it after the fact?
Funny story about Jacob. Jacob came by to do a workshop demo. I was like super nervous with my portfolio in hand. And then he told me he had no more time and he had to leave. He's like, here's my card. See ya.
And that's how we became such good friends.
Yeah.
Now I'm just spending my life making it up to him.
But full circle moment. I think I had moved to LA. Jacob really helped me like get a job at Kojima just because he was working there, and he reached out to me. He's like, I remember you from the workshop, like let's try to make this happen. And so super grateful for Jacob to kind of help me like in my career. He's a big part of it. So yeah, super stoked.
Oh shucks.
That ties back into a lot of what we've heard people say on stream as far as like one of the best job securities you can have is like having a really good network and the people that you meet and just kind of like hanging on to folks. You never know what kind of interaction you have, what it eventually might lead to. It may not have started super great, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't later come around to help you. That's really cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Javier, like you've always been one of the best networking people I know, and somehow whenever we go to conferences, just like people are coming up to you all the time, or you'll just be like hugging random folks, and like definitely shout out to networking being huge. And yeah, Javier's the guy to teach you how to do it.
What made you want to get into video game art, Javier?
That's a great question. I basically didn't have anything really to fall back on. In high school, we had like an art program, but it was mostly like digital art. So I was learning like Photoshop and like Dreamweaver. For those who don't know Dreamweaver, it's it's HTML and building websites program. I think Adobe still uses it. So I was learning that sort of stuff. So in my mind, I was kind of like, should I become a graphic designer? Like I like all these programs. And then, one day I'm watching TV and an ad for the Art Institute pops up. So that was pretty much all I needed to know. I had no idea what the school was, but it said like, you can come make video games. And so I didn't know what that meant. So it was just a tour of the school and checking it out and kind of seeing what was available. And that kind of was pretty much it. It was kind of, it's a little bit scary thinking about it now, because I can't imagine what like students or just people graduating, like, you know, their studies and trying to figure out college and stuff like that. I feel very grateful and lucky that this worked out, but having to like almost dedicate your life, like, well, this is it. If I can't do this, then I don't know. That's always like, it's always something I think about when I talk to students, like how much they're really putting into all this. So I know it can be very, very draining and, you know, sometimes diminishing, but you just got to make sure to push through it and like, yeah, just kind of work as much as you can and to make that dream possible. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very inspiring. Like basically just there was no backup options.
Yeah, there really was no
back.
back. So I was like, I have to make this work. It was like do or die pretty much. So yeah.
Like I see this guy on at like 4 a.m, and I'm like, what are you doing up, you know? And he's like, you know, it's just living life. That's how we do it.
Another day, another dollar. Another day, another dollar.
So Javier, was Kojima where this is one of the questions.
Maybe
maybe
we want to circle back around too, so like we can do maybe
sure,
5 minutes or so each person, questions after, and then we'll circle back around and answer some more questions at the end.
Okay, so just leave the questions right now and
get through everyone, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I think that's a good idea. I appreciate you bringing that up, Jacob. Then we'll hold off on that question from now. Perfect. Sebastian, thank you. We'll circle back to it. John, if you want to take it away, my friend.
Alrighty. Whoops, I totally did the thing you told me not to do.
We can try it out. See how it works.
It's all good. I'll go ahead and do the follow me. Bring to me. There you go. Yes. Yeah, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, so I already did my introduction here, but kind of like what Javier was saying, yeah, I also went to the Art Institute a few years later. I think I graduated like high school in like 2011, so I didn't graduate from college till 2015. So yeah, it took me a little bit longer because I was not the best student. And yeah, pretty much what I'm going to show you today is kind of just like where it started to kick in a little bit. But kind of like what Javier was mentioning, where we had this teacher named Emmer, and pretty much he would make us do a prop a week. And this was probably the first prop in that class. And we had to keep the poly count really low. We had to keep the texture size super low. And I did not know ZBrush at the time. So this is pretty much just whatever I could do in Photoshop. And yeah, so you got to see my nice low res little model there, and then my nice little texture maps. That's a gloss map, by the way. It's not a height map. Yeah, all kind of done with just Photoshop for the most part, and just kind of using what knowledge I had at the time. I don't know what was going on with geometry wise, but yeah, this is kind of was like probably one of the more successful first props, I would say. And then, you know, I tried to get a little bit ambitious along the way, and we had an even tighter poly count and a tighter texture count. And this was that next one of the next props that we doing, where it was like, hey, do a weapon. And I thought it was so cool. I just picked something off of like Pinterest or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, I'm just going to make all the cavities black. And this way it'll look, you know, grounded and really fun. But yeah, I don't think I got a good grade on this one. I think they were like, there were texture resolutions all over the place. But yeah, I was still learning at the time. But it was a lot of fun. I was trying to also practice presentation. I started to, you know, see a lot of students were just like really making sure that their renders were really nice. And I wanted to start doing that with some of my stuff. So I did spend a little bit of time. And this is kind of like one of my first attempts at that, which is like making sure that it looked kind of cool. But yeah, I'll go ahead and keep going on over here though. Sweet. So this was actually a funny one. It was probably one of the better ones that I got a grade on in that class. And but when you take a look under the hood, I just overlaid my normal map on top of this because I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, yeah, that'll add some color variation to it. And then my teacher, when he found that out, he was kind of like, that's not right. Don't do that. But yeah, I was starting to get the hang of it little by little. And I think kind of like, you know, one of the biggest benefits from that class that I learned was just like practice, right? Like doing a prop every week and just having to kick something out a high or low was really, really great. It just got like that experience under our belts. And I think by the end of it, we were all feeling pretty strong. And in fact, one thing I don't have on display here, but in this class, we had this midterm and final, which was called the Iron Student, which I think Javier and probably Jacob, I think we all participated in at one point with our classes. But pretty much it was to do a whole prop from start to finish in 3 hours. And whoever was the best was declared the Iron Student of the midterm or final. And yeah, funny enough, I did actually end up getting the final one. But it was because I had a classmate who he pretty much started doing things outside of the curriculum, which was really great. He started using like Marmoset, and Dido was just popping online. And then so he kind of showed me the ropes during the midterm. And then by the final, I was like feeling a lot more better about it, a lot more confident. And yeah, just, you know, having those friends, having those people you can ask for help really, really helped out a lot. Yeah, I'll keep going down the line. I saw you guys were showing some character stuff, so I thought I'd pull this one, you know, out of nowhere. And yeah, this was pretty much my character art piece that I passed with. Fun fact, I probably, you know, you probably heard me say that, hey, I graduated for 4 years. It was like a 2-year program. So I was a really not good, I was not a great student at all. And I actually took the character art class probably like 5 times. Yeah, this is my 5th time around. I got a new teacher and he was just like, let's dynamesh the whole thing. Let's just go nuts. Typologies all over the place. I don't know what's going on. That T-pose, I kind of, you know, try to push it a little bit, but this was as good as I could get it in that time. But this was like my first character class, could not do a face. So that didn't happen. And then, yeah, but I decided I didn't want to do characters after this. Yeah, I want to go ahead and keep going on. This was kind of when things started to kind of kick in and I started to, you know, get things a little bit ready for my portfolio, kind of like what I was mentioning with Marmoset just started coming out. And this was kind of like one of my first props for like, I was getting ready for my portfolio at the time. I don't know why the back faces aren't showing there, but that's okay. But yeah, this was kind of as good as I can get it in terms of render. But as you can see, you know, resolution was all over the place. I did not understand what text density was. Kind of had to learn that along the way. But it was a lot of fun just to kind of like finally get something that looks not like Maya renders, have some reflections in it. And that was really a big part to Marmoset, like learning what materials are, why materials look a certain way, right? Practicing those texture stuff. But keep going down the line. This was also another prop that I started to do for that, for like my portfolio. And this is when I started to learn about like mirroring. So it was kind of like that bridge into the environment art stuff. And I really enjoyed working on this one. And that was kind of like started to kick off, hey, I want to do more environment stuff like tilers and trims and things like that. But yeah, again, my little prop in Marmoset, super fun. And then this one over here is probably one of my first environments. There were some worse ones before, but again, I was starting to kind of like get towards the end of my my program, and I wanted to start doing more, I guess, like, yeah, full on scenes, and yeah, just kind of really practicing just like reuse. That was probably the biggest thing I took away from this environment. But yeah, this is kind of what I have. I didn't end up putting this on my portfolio because it was not great, but I did want to kind of share with you guys a little bit, just some of the pieces that I did have on my portfolio when I had graduated, and just to kind of show you what happened during like that time. Yeah, I started just really leaning into just composition and lighting and stuff like that for my environments. I just learned, you know, it just has to feel good, because I wasn't really the best at making a prop or a texture or whatever piece, but as long as that all kind of came together, someone seemed to like that. And so, yeah, this is kind of what I ended up having that for my final, what's it called? My final portfolio coming out of college. Yeah.
Someone was asking when those pieces were made.
These were around, like, I want to say this one right here, and then also this this environment down here that I was going to show. These were probably coming out around like 2014. Yeah, 2014. I think I think these two are in UDK, or maybe I think UDK or in Unreal 4. I forget. Maybe they're in Unreal 4 when it just came out. And then this one was in 2015, this environment. But here's a little fun fact for you guys. This is me trying to hit realism. Yeah, I know. I know it looks insanely stylized, but that I was trying to like, yeah, I was like, oh, my materials are going to be hyper realistic. I'm going to get like maybe like that, what's it called? That claymation kind of look or something like that. Maybe like, I don't know what I was trying to do, but I'm trying my damn near hardest. But yeah, this is kind of where I ended up at, and that was kind of a little, you know, trip through some of my old work.
That's awesome, man. What was your inspiration for your final pieces that you were just going through as far as in school? Was there anything that was like?
Pretty much my teacher just kept saying scope down, so I just kept zooming in. But in terms of kind of just like I guess the overall inspiration, I think at the time it was more of like a lot of people were really leaning into like that Call of Duty kind of look, and then maybe just kind of like getting like more of like those realism. So I remember wanting to do something that was just a little bit more colorful, just to kind of stand out. I remember teachers saying like, yeah, you gotta stand out. You gotta keep yourself a little bit different. So I just really ended up leaning into the more, I guess, like stylized lighting, even though again, I tried to hit realism, but a teacher kept kind of pushing me in that direction. And honestly, I think it was for the best, because I really started to learn like how to experiment with color. Right. And I still do that stuff today, but it's been really helpful to me. But then, yeah, that's kind of where these come from. And then, inspiration wise, I just wanted to make them all a little bit different. Yeah,
It's impressive to see. Even back then, you were able to get so much atmosphere and like God rays and stuff into it. Because I remember working with UDK and the early UE4, that stuff was impossible. So like, that's amazing that that early on you were already getting that stuff going. I'm like, damn, John was ahead of his time back then.
Those are all just alpha cards. That's a fake right? Everything you see is smoke and mirrors. There is no wall behind this building. It was literally just what I could do at the time, given the time I had. And
you were already a true game artist back then.
And for those of you out there, that's kind of how we do things at SMS too. It's just not smoke and mirrors, but it's more like whatever it takes to make it look good. And yeah, it's definitely a game dev type of mentality.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Sweet. John Joe, my friend, you ready? Want to run through yours?
Sure. I'm trying to remember how to. I forgot completely how to make everyone follow me.
A little drop down where you see the top right hand corner. Go ahead and click up there. This little drop down, and then you'll see.
Sorry, which drop down? I'm so sorry.
Like all the icons of the people's faces and circles and stuff. There's a little drop down right there.
Yeah, I can bring people to me, but like, do people follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should
work. Okay, cool. All right. So I was starting my college education around the time John was graduating. Yeah, I noticed that Jacob like put a timeline on his just to show us all up and make the presentation cool.
I'm an overachiever for
last second, I was like, all right, I want to go back. I want to get myself some timeline. So yeah, I my start was very much like Javier's in the respect that like I had nothing else going on. Like I was thinking around of like other careers. I was like, I could be a pilot, but like that's stressful and you're responsible for a lot of people. You could be a lawyer, but that's like so many books and papers. And when I like actually looked at what I did, it was just playing like TF2 and Gary's Mod all day. So it took me a while to like, I found like a video on YouTube, which was called like the Snacks at Valve, which was like literally just like all of like some of the most senior people in Half-Life talking about like the food you could get in the cafeteria there. And it was kind of that moment that clicked after playing video games my whole life that people made them and that like I could maybe get a job doing that too. And I was like 15 at the time and went on to what we call college is like not American college. It's like 15 to 16 in the UK. Then it's 16, 17 in the UK, and then universities after. So college that I went to was in a town like 40 minutes away. And this was like one of the final things that I made there. So if you zoom in on like any of the screenshots, I've got like, this is like a game that we made to, because the course wasn't strictly a games course, it was a media course that was like turned into a games course because they didn't have the funding to make a games course. So what we ended up doing for our final project was a game that introduced foreign students to the city of Plymouth, which was where I studied. So this is like some of, the most beautiful Plymouth landmarks. I did like the bus station, like it's just gorgeous. It's stunning. It's such a lovely place for and you can see from the screenshot, there's like all of the UI on the screen, like the menus off to the side, because at the time, the guy who was doing the coding couldn't comprehend that like 1080p wouldn't be like the biggest resolution. So when I booted up the game in 4K, it just keeps the UI like on screen like all time, because it's supposed to like slide off to the side. So he's just moving off the canvas into like dead space that now you can see. And also it lagged like crazy. It was like opening malware on my PC turning this game on. So yeah, this was all just like Photoshop texturing, Blender. We didn't get taught about normal maps. So for 2 years, I was completely clueless to that. You guys talked about like characters. These characters were my designs. I was really inspired by jazz punk at the time. It was like, I need something I can just like make lots of characters for to like throw them around. Yeah, moving on down to this is when I started university. The course that I did was not like strictly for art. It was a game development course, and a couple of programmers like took me to the side and said like, we need an environment for this mobile game we're making. So I just did like the crummiest like environment like possible that I could at the time for my first year skills. And like they sold this mobile game with these environments. It was like I don't know if you can see my camera, but like you played it like it's like split screen. So people play on this side, and then like your friend would play on this side of the phone. And because everything was double rendered, it ran so bad. My phone couldn't run it at the time. So I felt really bad because they were selling it for like I think £5, which would be like $8 or something. And I kind of like forgot about it. And then every now and then they'd come around and give me like 20 quid. So I'd just get a pizza or some pints and, feel good for the day. But it was around this point, like one of my art lecturers told me like, dude, getting into the industry is really hard. Like I had no idea the challenges the getting into the industry like kind of had at that time. He said like 2 people in the year before me, or the year who just graduated, 2 people out of 100 got like jobs in the industry. And I was like, oh, like damn. So I just started like to pay a bit more attention. So then like over the summer, I did like a bunch of like environments. This is just one of them, but like it was a lot of like 1 week or 2 week projects where I just was like, I'll learn like one thing at a time. And I was really kind of fixated on a lot of the concepts from like that were coming out from games at the time. So I think this is from like Sleeping Dogs. They had like a seafood market, but like a bunch of this stuff is again just like I was just starting to understand like PBR, but a lot of it was still just box models with like bad tilables and really basic workflows that I was just trying to understand how an environment fit together. Then like in the next year, we had it was a course set by a games industry professional that came in. So local to our university was the only game studio in Cornwall, which was called Antimatter Games. They worked on Rising Storm Vietnam. So like a bit of a old school hardcore shooter. And they set a module and I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to impress them. Like, I'm just going to keep doing environments. I'm going to keep sending it to them for feedback. I'm going to hassle them. So I harassed like their lead producer for feedback from the team constantly. So much so that like the weapons artist there started to like get, I think, pretty upset with me. And he refused to give me feedback at some point. But it's okay. I heard he got banned from the Polycount Slack at some point, so I think he may have been a little bit wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like 2 of these, like one was a Dead Space concept, and I just got to do some like kind of hard surface. I was trying to like understand trim sheets and tilables a little bit better. So this floor is just like the laziest trim work, but I was having fun figuring stuff out. And then because they were like a military studio, and I clearly didn't get enough brown from my previous World War II like mobile game scene, I just went back to like a Belgian resistance bunker thing. So I had like a bunch of like military props in here, and again, just trying to emulate whatever I saw on ArtStation at the time, like what what are juniors and people making? I should probably be doing the same. So that was fun. And by this point, I knew that my stuff wasn't good enough. So in my third year, this was like my last year of university. These were the projects that got me work in the end. I just kept iterating, kind of pushing the quality further. With this train scene, I had done an ArtStation masterclass with their name is running blank, but it was someone who worked at Naughty Dog at the time was running it. And by running it, I mean like they just made the course, but like they weren't like present for it. I think this was during Last of Us 2 development, so they just weren't like around at all, which was totally fine, like very understandable. But the notes that they did give when they had time were like, I think at the time, like getting notes from someone who worked at Naughty Dog was such a cool feeling. And knowing that I was like somewhat on the right track felt really, really good. And I met some like friends on that course that I still kind of like hang out with literally the other day, which is really, really cool. But yeah, it was mainly like this set of 3 scenes that got me a job in the industry by the end. I think much like John's, like just scoping down, focusing on like a smaller space, really helped kind of like direct stuff by the end. That's my little journey.
Very, very cool.
That environment there on the left, that was the one I saw that called my attention to John Joe when we reached out to him to work with us at NVIDIA. So you can definitely see the growth and how much it all kind of came together in the end.
Well, it was somewhere around the 2018 mark where I found Jacob's portfolio and was like, dude, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. And we had like a module that was like reaching out to industry professionals to get like, feedback or answer our questions. And I picked Jacob and he actually responded.
That was an accident. Thought it was
He
a
didn't
work
leave me in the
email.
wind like he left out here.
Spam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also was it Martin Teichman as well. He responded, and I think he worked at like Rocksteady too. So it was crazy to like kind of follow in his footsteps a little bit. It was really, really cool at the time just to hear from anyone who worked in the field.
I can totally see too how that style, you've just totally embraced it. Like it looks like obviously a much earlier version of like what you eventually did with your like Disco Elysium like tribute that you did as personal work. You could totally see all the details in there, the posters in the background, everything. It's really, really cool.
Saturate everything.
Maybe like I guess one thing I didn't think of for the stream too would be if people hadn't seen your guys' portfolios, even being able to show off like where you are now and the level of quality that we got. So if maybe when I start doing my stream, you guys throw like a couple of your images in there, we can just briefly take a look at like, your latest like couple of works or something that could be cool for people to see on stream as well.
Sounds good.
That puts us on to you, Mr. Jacob, if you were ready, my friend.
Yeah. I don't know if the question, what was the biggest mystery for you when you started doing 3D, if that was directed to John Joe?
That sounds like a great question for all of us at the end, I think.
All right. We can do that.
There's a couple questions so far that I think would be really, really good at the end, for sure, for all of you, because I want everybody's opinion on this.
Cool. Yeah. Let me see. Let me try the. Okay, yeah, there we go. You see where I'm at here?
Yep.
Sweet.
We're on you.
So, it was a late October in 2006.
I paint the image for you.
No, this was actually the very first thing I ever did in 3D in high school. So my high school offered 3D courses, and I was super lucky that at the time they were doing that because that was like super uncommon apparently. And this was like a tutorial that was available. At least our teacher had found it. And so starting with sub-D modeling as the very first thing I ever made and creating an entire car, which I think after this, I never made another car again because it just took so much time and was so complex that I was like almost turned off from 3D. But at the same time, when you finish it and you see like, holy shit, I made a car, and like it looked, to me, this looked real back then, you know, because you have to think of the graphics. And in 2006, I was like, I just made a photograph with this car. Yeah, but it was a great experience, and like that's kind of what got me into just following along with tutorials and really understanding the importance of finding that type of content and learning from it too. I couldn't find the picture of it, but like the extra credit at the end of the class, I put an antenna on the side of the car and they put a little jack head, like Jack in the Box on the antenna. Just because like everybody had antenna balls back then, and my parents would never get one for the car, so it was my chance to finally add a antenna ball onto this thing. And then the second thing I did, I don't know why, but I did another vehicle right after that, after I said I'm never doing a vehicle again. And this one was a Star Wars. I can't remember the name anymore, but that was pretty sick. And I basically just took a screenshot of a concept image and then used that as my texture, just like flattened it on top of there. And I was like, I'm done. Here's my texture for it. Because I didn't understand like the complexities and everything you used to have to do to turn this into a proper texture. Similar to what Javier said, this was a Photoshop texture. So texturing in Photoshop, I don't even know how we did it back then. Come into 2007, and I'd already started college at this point. I think this might have been a little bit later. My date might be off because this is, I'm pretty sure, the prop course that Javier and John talked about from Emmer Tansiatko. Shout out to Emmer, one of the best teachers in the world, in my opinion, and probably the only reason I ever got a job. Because my art looked like this, these stools here, before I took Emmer's course. And not that the axe knife, I don't know if I called it like an axe or an ife, I don't know. Like, yeah, that was the best I could come up with for a zombie weapon back then. Check out our latest apocalyptic weapon on Sierra Division Art Station. And you can kind of see
the
like,
early
what
inspiration
this should look like. Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
you made a do-it-yourself halberd. That's really cool.
A DIY halberd.
Yeah. I don't know who's gonna like swing it and then pull it back and be like stab afterward.
Javier's a slap chop spear was one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my whole life. I was like, why? Just Right. Love it. Anyway, sorry.
But then just taking that now and starting to learn how to make some props, moving on to the first environment that I ever made. And it was shortly after I picked up a guitar for the first time. So everything in my life at this time was about guitars. That's why I just made like a guitar workshop. And also because, you know, workshops were super easy. They had square boxes everywhere. And I was like, you know, not an overachiever yet at this time. I was just kind of living life and being in college and doing college stuff. And I was like, let's make a bunch of boxes and throw books and lockers and toolboxes, literally with the word boxes in it, around the level. And
it was an awesome picture up on the wall, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's
little Easter egg in there.
Cameo of myself in the corner there. I don't think you can see it. Oh, maybe over here. Yeah,
you
kind of see it. Yeah, just snuck it in. That was when I first learned about Easter eggs in environments, and then I put Easter eggs into every environment I ever worked on after that in games. That's one of the most fun things, actually. Everybody else wants to make games, but I just want to put Easter eggs into video games. Now, at this point, I was like, all right, I'm a pro at environments. I already know what I'm doing. Let's create some characters. And this was maybe the first character I ever made. It's supposed to be like a Chulu, like these are tentacle kind of things coming from the belly. I can't find the concept art anymore for this, but it looked way cooler than this one did. But this is when I started learning that lighting, like I talked about, doesn't really work very well. We didn't have Marmoset or all these beautiful ray tracing tools and stuff like that. So these back muscles were actually painted on with like lighting effects. I had to try to create highlights and shadows where the back muscles were. And then I realized that I'm never going to learn anatomy. But I tried another character. It seems to be a trend. Like, I think I'm never going to do something again. And then, okay, let's do it again. And I tried to create a female version of the Heavy from Team Fortress. And this is maybe the worst asset I've ever created. Yeah. I'm so sorry you all have to see this, so we can just move on from that.
I'm so sorry, you all.
Oh, whoops, it doesn't get better. It does not get better. All right. So this is when I first picked up ZBrush, and any guesses what animal this is?
Lion.
A lion.
Hey!
Hey.
Lion.
All right. That's not terrible then. But I think I didn't understand, you have to spend longer than 2 hours to make something look good. And I just looked at this and I was like, what the heck? Why can't these shapes work properly? And all my ZBrush sculpts feel muddy. And then so I didn't use ZBrush again for, I think, 7 years after that.
Screw you.
Yeah, John is like the ZBrush pro, and so I can't talk shit about it in front of him. But check out his ZBrush work. That's where it's at. That's as artists, oftentimes we definitely feel that inferiority to other people around, and so with the things I was seeing people do in ZBrush, it can be demotivating. But when you apply for a job like Kojima, where Javier and I linked up later, you needed to learn ZBrush, and so I don't have the piece up here for like the art test I did for that. But once you sat down, like I sat down for 3 weeks straight and just sculpted bad bricks over and over and over until finally I made a decent looking brick and started getting a little bit more ZBrush knowledge, and then it wasn't so scary anymore. So you just got to work through all of the pain points and all the fear. And I don't know if I said this on the last stream, but I'm going to keep repeating it, that the quote, like, you start living life at the edge of your comfort zone. So once you start to become uncomfortable is when things actually get exciting, and you start learning and you start growing from there. The foliage here is very inorganic, but the trunk kind of looks good. I think what happened here, and what happened a lot of times in my early art, is I would start and put like a ton of effort in the beginning. So I got really nice organic tree trunk. I had like these kind of root pieces that almost started looking like they could grow into the ground. But then after I did that, I'm like, okay, foliage is hard. And then I just called it a day and extruded some faces out to make the branches. And so that's like another lesson I'll learn later in life, which is that last 10%, and that final push and effort oftentimes is what makes things really high quality. And I did not know that back then. Moving forward a little bit more, then, this is 2009, so the year before I graduated and after the course with Emmer. And I started learning a bit more about that final 10% and really kind of pushing my pieces past the point where I normally would have beforehand, and got really in detail with my high poly modeling. This is actually based on another steampunk concept. It was this really cool like steampunk bike that I had found online. So it's not an original design, but I loved just the look and the kind of wood mixed with the gold trims. And uh, as I tended to do, I was in phases of different like explorations. This is my chair phases. So I had a beautiful, cushion chair here, and then moved into. They always have to be in vehicles too. So it's like this is uh, an ejection seat from a jet, and I think this was one of the first pieces after I finished it where I started to feel like maybe I could do this. Maybe I could actually get a job in game art, and where I finally started kind of getting some really positive feedback from people that I'd reach out to for portfolio reviews. And yeah, shout out Javier. I got turned away from some people at Valve a few times when I was at GDC, and I was like, "Can I get a portfolio review?" And they're like, "Who are you? Get away from me!"
These specific images are like when I was taking Emmer's class, he would always show off, "Oh, these are like the highlights of like throughout the course," and these images specifically, he'd always use as examples. Like, this is the quality you guys need to hit. So I probably never hit it in school. So.
Well, if it makes you feel better, this is where I kind of stopped living that college life, and I started living that Javier life where I was up till 4 a.m, and just like turning down hanging out with people, and turning down like going to events and stuff, and I was just putting tons of effort into these to the point where then we were coming into class to present them. And I would just fall asleep on my desk while everyone was presenting because I didn't get enough sleep from the night before. And then they're like, I hear my name. Oh, Jacob, your turn to come up and present. Then I'd have to wake up and present. Then based off of that, we were supposed to create like an environment for one of our finals. So 2010 was the year I graduated, and this was basically like the final that I put together. And I started taking all the things I learned from all the prop courses with Emmer, and then we had another really great teacher who was a concept artist, Asa Enox, and he helped to keep me humble, because then at this time I started getting a lot of good feedback on my ejection seat, and he would remind me that like, you suck. Like, you're not going anywhere. You still have a ton more to grow. You got to get better, and that's sometimes nice to hear, even if it feels shitty in the moment, because then it's good to keep pushing yourself and never get settled with thinking like, oh yeah, I can never get better than this, right? Because boy, was I wrong. There's so much more. Even now, I never feel like I'm good enough. But then after graduating, I got really lucky. Shout out Michael Yadao, who's over at Yachty Dog. Yeah, over at Naughty Dog now as well. And he helped, like, because I had started trying to put together this environment from like these Unreal challenges. I can't remember the name. Maybe one of you guys remember, is like Unreal King
Unearthly Challenge.
Unearthly Challenge. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Unearthly Challenge. And I was on a team with Nate Castronovo, who's over at, I think, Bungie now, or Halo Studios, and Saeed Zamzad, who is over at Virtuos, and we worked together to put together like this pretty sick environment that Nate concepted. And I basically just took all my stuff from that class and then busted it out into its own scene. And then Michael Yadao like helped me understand composition, because I didn't really understand composition. Like I said, my lighting sucked, and I didn't really know how to put scenes together, and so he kind of started showing me kit bashing and placement and like flowing lines and stuff, and so that was super helpful to learn and grow. The lights here, the atmospheric effects, was just Photoshop. I just painted on some fake glow light cones there.
Some post effects.
Yeah, some post effects, we'll call it that. Even the little leaves, if you zoom in, I thought it would be cool to have falling leaves. There's no trees, there's like nothing around, and there's leaves floating next to the lights. Yeah, and I don't need to talk too much about these ones, but this is basically just to say that in 2011, at that point, I'd already started at Insomniac and continued to work outside of work and pushed myself a ton. Was creating artwork like as much as I could, even when I get home, and just understanding trim sheets and sci-fi and modularity and lighting. And Victor Oman came out with this amazing Solaris environment, and so I wasn't very creative. I just basically stole what other people did that I really liked and then remade it myself. Some fan art right there. And then finally, last piece I'll show is 2013. This is the famous beginnings of the modular building set. I say famous, maybe some people know it still, but that's where I did this kind of trim sheet breakdown and posted it up on Polycount, and started learning so much about modularity and how important trim sheets were and how all of that kind of fits together to create these environments that we have in video games nowadays. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, super cool.
I remember looking at that one when I was in school, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's like pipelines and techniques to this game art stuff." Props.
Yeah. Yeah, this was right around the time that I was really feeling like I really admire everything I learned at Insomniac, and I think that there's some incredible people there doing some great artwork. But I don't know. I didn't feel like I was getting a ton of feedback on my work. I was feeling like every time I was showing it to the art director, I'd get maybe some small comments or small notes, but I wanted them to tell me like, "Asa, like this sucks. Like make it better. Like you need to improve this or that." And so I had started kind of applying it at other places, and just starting to branch out and seeing where else I could grow. Right, like that hunger was inside of me back then to learn as much as I could and go anywhere that I could where people were just going to continue to push me, and I was going to continue to like fail for a bit before learning. And that's where I mentioned I was taking that Kojima art test, and just failed a ton until finally it worked, and learned ZBrush once I got there. And there was a ton of amazing people that even Javier like was teaching me some things there. And start learning, continue to learn everywhere you go. Keep growing.
That's super cool, man. It's enlightening getting to watch you all kind of talk about like the development, and you hear like similar sort of feedback or like similar sort of experiences where it's like you try something, doesn't go great, and you're like, "Oh, I may or may not ever do this again." And then you just put your head down and just immediately do it again. And just immediately like reattack it and reapproach it and try a different angle and talk to somebody else. And it's that rehash. I think it's almost like consistent amongst every, at least talented artist that we've had the chance to talk to, where it's like, just have to keep coming back to it and finding new ways and just kind of keep pushing through. Where did you all start to specialize in your skill sets? And Javier, there was a specific question for you actually that had to do with was Kojima where you started to gravitate towards materials, or was that later? And so just present that to you and then to everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, to answer both your questions, I started specializing when I moved over to PlayStation. So I've been there like for half my career now, like 6 years. But that was kind of up until like from the day I graduated school all the way to PlayStation, I was just an environment artist. So basically kind of the same stuff that everyone else on the call is doing. Like, I was, your generalist world building, modeling, texturing, kind of doing everything. And then when I jumped over to PlayStation, that's kind of when I really honed in on just texturing and materials. And I think it just stems from the last couple projects that I was on, specifically like when I worked with John. I think I was an environment artist there at Intrepid Studios, but I found myself doing more and more texture work than anything else. So I think me just, liking that sort of aspect to the whole pipeline, like just gravitating and almost like just specializing on that one specific thing, got me to love it even more. So when I saw that there was like a spot open at PlayStation, that's kind of where I landed, because I wanted to kind of be in texturing world more than anything. So and yeah, that's kind of about it.
How about for the rest of y'all? Where did you start to specialize?
Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, I pretty much started to. I think it started when I was in college, where it was like lean into your strengths, and composition was kind of the more my, I guess, my better strength, maybe even a little bit of lighting. So yeah, I just kind of just used that to my advantage in the beginning, and then eventually I learned I needed to make better assets. So funny enough, yeah, when I met Javier over at Intrepid Studios, he really helped me out with just kind of like reaching that AAA type of quality, not only with just materials, but just with like in general. Like, yeah, we can talk about many stories where we've been up late at nights and we're just like online and just sharing each other's feedback for like art station challenges and stuff like that. But yeah, it's leveled up a lot there. But yeah, kind of it started there. And once I knew, it was like, oh yeah, you just have to make really engaging environments. I just been really leaning into that aspect of just the environment side, and then little by little just brushing up those quality skills.
Love that. How about you, Jonjo?
I think like in terms of the like direction that my portfolio and work has taken since I first started in the industry, most of the things that I've made have been influenced by sheer like kind of like terror of someone in the job asking me to do something that I didn't yet know what to do. Environment art is like such a broad like subject. Like you have materials, you have foliage, you have like hard surface, you have so many different things. Like the props that we might use in an environment art team can like range like all the way up to like vehicles, So I was like, I'll just do whatever terrifies me the most, because like if someone in the job asks me to do this, I want to be able to like at least give it a go. And not like I don't know why. Like I thought at the time that like I would get fired or something if I didn't know how to do something, because I was like, really early days. That's totally not the case. But yeah, that's what kind of pushed me to like have more of a broad portfolio, is just thinking like, God, if someone asks me, I want to be able to deliver. But that said, like literally 99% of the work that I've done in the industry has been world building. Like it's just been, I've made very, very few assets in my 6 years in the industry, which is why I've continued to do it on my portfolio, because yeah, it's making of like game maps there is so much work to do. And it's kind of constant iteration. So I do a lot of like the creation of new stuff in my free time.
Very cool. Jacob, you kind of touched on this a little bit. Did you want to elaborate any more?
No, I don't want to take up too much
Overdo
of the time. Yeah. You
John,
can see
you
my
mentioned
progress. I wasn't good at characters. I hated vehicles. Environments were fun. That's the way to go.
Succinct. Love it.
Yeah.
John, somebody had a question actually, and you kind of touched on this when you were going through, but you said that there was a point to where you realized you needed to make good assets. Somebody had asked, what do you think the break point was, or the most important influence that made you take a leap in quality of the pieces of your portfolio?
It was It was pretty much when I started to actually work at it at my first job. Like people like the people who hired me at Intrepid, they liked the portfolio and the compositions and just the overall feeling of the environments. But once we kind of started putting them in game, they're like, they don't really hold up unless they're like lit, special or something like that. So that's when it was more like I need to practice. And then also when Javier came to the studio, I was like, dang, I kind of want to work in AAA. And I need to kind of really level up in order to do that. So, yeah.
Very, very cool. No, that's good. That's a good answer. And so, Jacob, did you want to ask your question for John? Do you want me to do that for you here real quick? I got one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got
No, I was super curious, actually, just because it's something I really drive home with like our artists at the studio, which is reference images. I was wondering if during your time working on those environments for the like the stylized realism ones,
Yeah.
had you compiled like reference images beforehand, or what back then was your process for like working on that stuff?
Yeah. So I've always been, and this kind of stems back to maybe I'm just a bad student or even bad sometimes at following exact reference. I know some people really excel at that in 3D, but I've never been great at that. So I've always been kind of like a kit bash my own like reference images, or kit bash even my own like design for my environments. Just like photo bashing or something like that is the right word for it. But yeah, I usually photo bash a bunch of different stuff to kind of like get an idea, because I always have this idea in my head and I just kind of want to turn it into, I want to make it real in 3D. So all those, like pretty much anything personal work on my portfolio is a lot of just like gathering references, and I usually try to find like one reference for composition, one reference for like the lighting and the mood, and then one reference for like the quality of or the assets that I want to include in my environment. And I just kind of photo bash them together, and then I try to come up with something a little bit different. But it all goes back to like, I don't want to use someone else's concept and from one to one and then not hit it. I think it's just going to show that, oh man, I'm just not good at following one to one. So I've kind of just like always just started to like try to design my environments, and I think it's benefited me just in professional work too, because I can work with like little concept.
Yeah, like it seems to show, because then in a good way, by the way, that I feel like there's kind of like a signature look to a lot of your work, like because of the way I guess you photo bash or use these concepts and kind of generate then your own idea based off of that. It does have like this very much John Ariano look to it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, thanks. No, but it's a lot of it. Real quick, it's a lot of it is just I like to be able to look at an environment and be like, I know it's missing something, and then it's like kind of like you said, there's a recipe that I use a lot of times to kind of like fill in the gaps, and I think it helps.
John tossed on a little bit more of his more modern work. That being a little bit more recent, you can see obviously incredible stuff. Really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin Johnson. I think he gets me. Our lighting artist at Santa Monica. He did a really good job at those. I was like, these look like my personal work.
These are awesome. These are awesome. So there's a question. I think y'all have kind of touched on this, and so don't feel like you need to elaborate too much more. But Beta had asked a question. I know that work experience combined with everything you learn in the field influences this. But do you think there was a specific moment that you felt contributed to the improvement of your portfolio and art in general? My question is directed at everybody, and so all the panelists. I feel like you guys have all kind of touched on this, and what I'm taking away from it is it sounds like it's been multiple moments to where you just kind of have to keep doubling down. Javier said it best, where he's like, there is no backup plan. I'm just doing this. But was there anything else that you guys would point to as far as specific moments? Was there anything as far as feedback or things that you came as like a realization?
Yeah, I feel like I talked a lot, so maybe if someone else wants to take it, feel free. But yeah, kind of like what they were saying. I also had a moment when I was in school where it was like, it was more of a financial moment where it's like, I either have to succeed at this or that's it. And so I just doubled down, and I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm trying to do it right. And yeah, just like really putting in those extra hours and those extra times. And I cannot stress it enough, especially learning from an Emers class. There's so much practice I feel like I've had to do. It's like not every project or everything I do is a personal portfolio piece or something like that. There's a lot of like, I just made a brick today. I just try to make this texture real quick on the side just to practice. I was in ZBrush trying to, I don't know, sculpt a piece of wood. But there was a lot of that behind the scenes, and every like personal project on my portfolio is more of like a, here's what I know at this given time versus like a, let me try and learn something. A lot of the learning comes from like the practice for me. So yeah, pretty much whenever I wanted a new job. But then I've also kind of kept in my mind the fact that if I don't make personal work, my portfolio is just going to go out to date. And that was a big scare that they taught us in school. They would be like, yeah, like you should always be doing personal work. That's what gets you jobs, especially if like what happens when a game doesn't ship after 3 years and you have nothing to show for it. It's a scary thought. So yeah, it still happens.
Yeah, I'd say maybe even like as it relates to the kind of moment that it clicked, it goes back to Emmer, honestly, because there's something about having the right person that teaches you like what to look for and helps you to understand how to break down concept art or reference images to really notice the difference because it's all about kind of getting that eye for it, right? That as much as maybe you'll show someone who doesn't do 3D to then somebody who does do 3D, and it's about that trained experience just from seeing so much work and seeing like the right parts of the image that help it to become more realistic or to kind of match your concept more, to match the reference. And I think for me, it was Emmer and having like that right person to kind of mentor you or teach you that then just really helped me to understand like what I was supposed to be looking for and what I was missing and what kind of helped me to improve the most. Because back then, before Dedo or Substance Painter, edgeware was like the big thing. And edgeware was kind of the concept that leads you into understanding, oh, these things like age with time, or there's like bird poop on the ground under this lamp because all the birds land on the lamp and just are just pooping all day and talking and hanging out. Like there's stories, you know? So his idea of teaching edgeware helped to teach me the idea of story. And then I started to look for the story in props and look for the story in environments. And I think that's what helped the most. And that was kind of the moment it like clicked. And then I realized also, like John said, I'm going to be in crazy debt after this. So I'm just going to work a ton and let's do it. Here we go.
Get after it. I've been scrolling through also some of your more modern stuff here, Jacob, as far as what you posted on the board. I appreciate you putting that up.
A lot of this, of course, is teams, and you know, everything here is a culmination of not only my work, but then many other people's work, not only at the companies I was at, but even right here with us, John Joe, and I think Javier, out down there at the bottom, downtown West. So this is a very big like team effort portfolio. I can't call this all mine.
Very awesome. So there's a question for everybody. We're going to do a couple more questions here, and then we'll let everybody go about the rest of their day. Appreciate you guys taking the time that you have. And so next question was for all panelists. This is from Beta 2.0 again. It said, how can you overcome stagnation in terms of quality and technical knowledge as a 3D artist? How can you find the right method to start honoring or requiring a new technical skill?
I think for me, it just comes with practice. Like every new project that I create, like personal work, I try to have a goal with it. And one of the biggest goals for me is always trying to incorporate something new or something I've never tried before into my workflows. So either that being like something I saw in the latest and greatest tech videos, or maybe a breakdown I saw, or, you know, someone did just an art blast talking about their certain workflows that they use. Just trying to incorporate that sort of thing into my workflow, whether or not I will be using it, but at least having some knowledge of it or how it works can help you dictate like any sort of other art choices you make down the line, right? There's just so many ways to create the same piece of art. Everyone has different workflows. Everyone can get to the same picture, just all the different ways. So I think having a accumulation of all that knowledge of the different ways to approach it just makes your life easier, because you can, I think it varies from either, maybe it's like time that you have. You can kind of pick and choose like where you can cut corners, which workflow to use, and how to get the best result in the amount of time. And that's the way I kind of go about it.
Very cool.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go on, Greg.
No, go ahead. That was good. I was asking for that, so you're good.
Yeah, in terms of like the overcoming like stagnation and technical knowledge, I think you like Javier mentioned, you kind of need to have a goal and a direction that you're heading in. But I think the best thing that you can do is like find those people that inspire you and like work as closely as you can towards like what they're doing. Being inspired by like other artists in the industry is one of the best ways, I think, to like motivate yourself, because usually the people who are like working at these companies are going to be the people who are pushing those kind of envelopes, those boundaries. I know for me, like the swords that I did like on my portfolio were like massively inspired by like two people, Rick Grieve and I think Jacob. We worked with him on the Nvidia stuff. Mario Dell'Abona, like Mario's stuff was like crazy to me, like going into the field. Like he did this huge poly count like environment piece that he never finished, of like this guy who was making bombs in a basement, but like every single piece in there was like every single piece was a hero asset. That just the presentation, like the texturing, it was like I want to do that. So I looked at all of his breakdowns and like saw kind of like the resolution he was using on stuff, and it just really made me like push everything that I did further and try to like emulate his quality. Yeah, I think finding people that inspire you is one of the best ways to go about stopping being stagnant.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, we're going to do two more questions, and then we'll probably at that point be looking to sign off. Everybody okay with that? Cool. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Okay, so next up, I might combine two of these questions here, just because I think one's going to be a pretty short answer, and it actually only applies to two of you. And so Nabir had a couple questions, one of which is probably just for Javier and John. That being, what's it like life in Los Angeles for game dev out that way? And then the question that will apply, I believe, to everyone is, as humans, we tend to learn more from our failures than our successes. And it seems the same applies to all of you as well. So would you recommend to beginners fail fast and learn through trial and error, or take things slow and move carefully?
Okay. That last question was really good.
Yeah, from Nabir.
So I actually do not live in Los Angeles. I
Oh,
live in San Diego, which is 2 hours south of Los Angeles. But I will say that I did have to move to Los Angeles from 2013 to 2016. So I've lived there before. I'm biased. My experience was awful. Only because traffic was awful. Jacob can attest to this. We both had 1 hour commutes to Kojima Productions. It's a little bit better now. Now in the world of working from home, you don't really have to leave. The game dev community is massive in Los Angeles, so I think that's the best part about it. If you do get a job in LA, I would recommend living close to where you work, just because the commute can be pretty brutal. That's my feelings on it.
And then, yeah, I'm just going to back up what Javier says. Yeah, big scene. I love it personally, but I also work from home. But it's great just because, yeah, there's this, it feels like I'm at GDC all the time, even on like a Thursday. Yeah, and I've kind of like, Javier also touched upon this, but it's like, this is kind of my life. And so I like being surrounded by all the artists and all the people really hustling. So personally, I I found it to be, I just kind of like dove head first in, and I've made it my entire life here. So it's been really good for me.
I won't make the conversation all about food, but Los Angeles has the best food in the world. Shout out.
Not Mexican
yeah.
food.
I visited LA once, like last year, for the because my studio is in LA, for like the office Christmas party, and the one thing that made me realize I'd never lived there was well, there was a few things, but the first thing was going from the airport to the hotel that was like a 5-minute drive was like a $37 Uber, and I was like, yeah,
that's a good deal.
Yeah. Sounds like slow night. No.
Yeah, definitely back up what John said though. Also, like, there's so many cool people out there, so many amazing studios out there, and as long as you're not on the road, or as long as you never have to travel somewhere, then it's a great place to be. Constantly events. There's like new people that you're going to meet all the time for networking, just because like if you hang out with one person, they're probably friends with like 10 other people at like 5 other studios, and then you just instantly know everyone right away. So
Yeah,
that's one of the coolest things about it.
Jacob came to like one of the nights of our like TNM Christmas party, and he knew more people than I did. Like, he was just going around saying hello to everyone. I felt like
yeah, I saw someone, Alex Meadows posted on his Instagram stories, and I was like, what the heck, you're in LA? And he's like, yeah, come to our company party. And so I totally just crashed the company party, and they're like, what the heck, what are you doing here? It's like, well, I'm here, so let's hang out. Yeah, really cool people at TNM.
Very cool. Last one, guys. And so I'm going to combine a couple questions. We had questions from Geeko as well as Barack, but Barack's was a little bit more geared. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We didn't necessarily touch on the like learning from failures and successes. Maybe that's an important one to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were kind of touching base on that. I apologize. Go ahead.
Fail.
No problem. I think we just got carried away with LA because there's too much to talk about there.
Sorry. I thought I heard a couple of you guys touch base on it. Please do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just speaking from my own past failures, I guess you could say, I would wish I could go back and like maybe fail fast more often, because then I tended sometimes to fail fast, and I would repeat myself like once more to try a new vehicle or a new character, but then when I'd fail again, unless I had some sort of responsibility or necessity to try to learn that thing, oftentimes I would just kind of move on from it because I didn't want to keep feeling bad. So maybe it would be important to say like fail fast and keep failing, but then at a certain point, you do need to take things slow after you've failed a bit and you start understanding a bit more about what it is that you're doing, because then that's where you need to dive deeper into the techniques that make whatever it is you're trying to learn actually like a good skill to have. So I wouldn't say like just fail fast and try a bunch of different things, because then you're never going to get good at any of them. But the thing that is important about that is you'll at least start to learn what it is you're good at already and where your weak points are. So then you know where you should start taking it slow and where you can kind of focus more if it's something you want to learn more about. So kind of a mix of the two. Start failing fast, but then take a breather and dive deeper into some stuff as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, fail fast, learn one thing at a time. Don't try to do everything at once. Your first environment should probably take you a week or two, not like 3 or 4 months. It's about like just getting a grasp of the fundamentals and not being too precious over stuff early on. It's definitely where I saw like the most growth in my own like work, was when I could just do stuff really rapidly and not be like precious. I wish it could still be the way, but now it takes me like a year to do a project. So while you can, and while you're in these early stages, yeah, fail fast is a great attitude to take.
Yeah, Barack, I think, said it really well with the idea that I think as we get grown more, we can't take risks as much as when we were a beginner. So I would say that's definitely true even once you get into a studio also, because then you have kind of deadlines to hit. You have like this production that just keeps moving, and you don't have as much of an opportunity to experiment and fail as fast. You kind of just have to get it done, like John said, and do what you need to get it done. So when you have that opportunity to fail a lot more, definitely take it and definitely, yeah, try as much as you can.
Any other thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I think I said it best.
What they said, all great.
Just say ditto. Ditto.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, right? Let me see here what we have. That would be a good final question. Stephanie, if you'd happen to seen one that was really good too, you're welcome to post it out to me here in the chat. Let me see if there's one here that's a really good one that I'd skipped.
I saw someone ask if Kojima, Japan, if they speak English or not. So there, I do have a few friends over there that they are non-Japanese speakers, and they're able to work and get the job done. But it's definitely recommended that you learn Japanese, because most of the time the people working there are going to be speaking Japanese first and foremost. But then, of course, when there's meetings and group meetings and stuff, this is just my understanding. I haven't actually worked in the Japan studio, that then they will, of course, speak English. But it's a good skill to have, basically.
Okay, last one. And so this is from Geeko. And the question was, as I am a student studying in video game design, and as an artist, what's most often missing from students' work when they are fresh out of college and going into the game industry that is missing from 3D artists' portfolios?
Probably presentation, maybe, like lighting, renders, composition of your work, and putting your name on the images, and 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 deleting
Spelling your name
all
right.
of your bad work.
I think so. This one's kind of a tough one, and it's kind of funny. This question was brought up considering me and John just had a panel this weekend about this specific topic. Some of the stuff that I feel like are gaps are more so not in the work itself, but the way that the work is being created, more so like developer skills, like, you know, the types of workflows that we're getting to these final images. What I keep seeing is a lot of artists have really great portfolios. They have really pretty beauty images, but they're not including enough breakdowns. They're not including how did they get to this specific image. That's kind of one thing I'm starting to see a lot more. It's like, and this doesn't even just, it's not even a student thing, even working professionals right now, because, like, you know, games are so big and they have so many people working on a specific section or level. I see, like, you know, some senior artists just put in-game renders and that's pretty much it. And it's hard for us to dissect, okay, what did you actually do in this? So making very clear what were your responsibilities during production, or what were your responsibilities during this specific environment, or, you know, art piece that you created is very, very important.
To touch on that too real quick, especially with like environments specifically, I really enjoy, and like even when we're like looking at people's portfolios, like how things are textured. I know it seems kind of like a weird one, but like either like the trim sheets or like the tables, or like how they're texturing a baked acid or something like that. I feel like seeing how that, it really shows the difference between like, hey, let's just make 3D really pretty versus like, let's make game art. Because I feel like that's like the biggest bottleneck. So like knowing all the techniques is really great, and showing all of them off is nice. But like seeing how, yeah, like what you're saying, more breakdowns of just like how you got there and why you're texturing this way. I feel like it separates people from like who know what they're doing versus just like, I'm just using any technique I saw online because that's what people are doing. Yeah, I feel like that's a big help for, especially for more junior artists trying to like show that they understand how games are made.
Yeah, just to reiterate that too, like not only is it helpful for people to see the breakdowns if they're looking to hire you or bring you on to their team, but it's also a great way to share your knowledge with other people to where it's going to attract more people to your work, because a lot of the people that are sharing their breakdowns and even maybe starting to go a bit more in depth and doing like mini breakdown tutorials on their ArtStation posts, those are the ones that are going to get the most attention, because then not only do they see a really cool piece of artwork, they get to see like how you made it, but then they're going to really learn something from it too, that they'll end up applying to their own work. And then someone will ask them like, how did you make, whatever it was that you did there? And like, oh, I saw a great breakdown on like, yeah, Jonjo or Javier's portfolio. And then they'll link you over to that. So it's like something that can help you to kind of get more visibility to people too. So there's like multiple great reasons to just break down your work more and kind of show your process and stuff.
Very cool. What else, gents? Any parting words of advice? Anything else you want to touch base on before we start signing off here?
You all start somewhere, right?
Get started, I think, seems to be kind of the theme, to where it's get going. You're going to make a mistake. It's better to make it early on. Make it consistently. Don't make the same mistake. But once you make the mistake, recover from it quickly and just keep going. I liked a couple of you kind of touching base on you tried something, failed, reapproached it, tried again, failed, reapproached it, and kind of honed your skills around where you were starting to gravitate and have success, which was super cool. And so it's really, really cool to kind of see you guys be able to not just be taught by incredible people. You guys talked about Emmer, I think, pretty extensively. This almost ended up being like an advertisement for him. Guy sounds like a phenomenal teacher, and obviously he's had a huge effect on a couple of y'all, which is awesome.
Like,
and so I think big message here would be fail, be okay with it, and then just kind of keep going. It's like
that gets reinforced like through looking at where I was in like 2015, being like younger than most here, and seeing that like that looks worse than a lot of the stuff like being made at the exact same time by people who just are putting in like and have put in more time, and like it like technology and like when it's made doesn't really matter as much as like how like long you've been at it and trying and pushing yourself.
Something else to keep in mind, you'll notice most or almost none of our artwork that you saw today is still in our portfolio too. That's a very important note, because remove your worst artwork from your portfolio. That's something, everybody says that all the time. It's a big deal, because you're only as good as your worst piece. So we took all that shit out of there. I'm not going to put that. You're not going to see those anymore.
Very cool. Anything else?
Maybe we'll have to bring Emmer on to the next episode so people can meet the legend.
The absolute legend.
We'll see if he'd be up for it.
Well, everyone, as far as from Sierra Division, we appreciate you tuning in here today. Javier, John, Joe, Jacob. I got through all the 8 J names there. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate you guys doing this. And obviously, I can speak on behalf of everyone that's tuned in and everybody that's going to watch this later. Thank you. We appreciate you imparting some wisdom on some aspiring artists. And so from me and from all of them, thank you all so very, very much. As for us, that'll do for another Sierra Division event. This one being the Hollow History. We got to be able to go through some portfolios from some outstanding artists. I would strongly recommend also, I briefly went through while we were streaming here, but I'd strongly recommend go check out these guys' portfolios. Absolutely breathtaking. And all of them are very, very accomplished artists who've worked on super cool projects. And so being able to get here and just kind of relay all of y'all's questions has been a great pleasure. So thank you all. I appreciate it. So on behalf of everyone from the Sierra Division team, thank you. I hope you have a very happy Halloween weekend. We'll be announcing here probably about midway through November for anybody who's tuned in for the Sierra Division Academy stuff, the next round of courses that we'll be offering in winter of next year. So stay tuned. But on behalf of everybody here at Sierra Division, thank you all so very, very much. And we hope you're able to tune in for the next one. Until then, I appreciate you all. You have a good rest of your day. And again, a happy Halloween weekend. Stay safe out there. Appreciate you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Sweet.